Hello, creative writing. This is the first time I have ever done a spoken video thing, and I can't stand the sound of my own voice, so it's awkward in that respect. Plus, I actually have the coronavirus, and you could probably hear it in my voice because I've been coughing for about 3 days straight, so my throat is a bit messy. Um, but with that said, we'll push forward. I did want to note, I think I contracted the coronavirus the Friday after I last saw you. So I'm thankful that the state and especially the county stepped in and closed schools because it means you don't actually show any symptoms of the coronavirus until a week or 2 weeks after you contract it. You don't know you have it. Therefore, I definitely would have gone into school Monday, Tuesday, given it to all of you, and there would have been a problem in Verona and Fitchburg. So, in short, I'm thankful for the leadership, especially of the county. With that said, hopefully you can deal with my voice. Today, we're just going over the final poetry bundle, which is pretty much all you have this week, which is finalizing the poetry bundle. You can find this under Final Poetry Bundle. So you might want to pause this video and go there. It's on Canvas under the poetry module. All the info on this is covered on that specific handout, so feel free to pause and go there. With that said, over the last 4 to 6 weeks, you should have written 7 poems, and some are in rougher shape than others. You got the haiku, pop sonnet, louder than a bomb inspired poem, vignette paper bag poem number 1, vignette paper bag poem number 2, epistolary and bedroom poems. You are now going to finalize them to whatever degree. This will be worth 100 points total. Just by way of comparison, all your grades so far this semester in this class have been worth 120 points. So you're almost doubling your point total. Officially, it will go into second semester, or fourth semester. Sorry, fourth quarter. But that really doesn't matter in any way to me. First of all, the first thing you should do is I would suggest you choose the 3 that you consider the weakest poems and won't be spending any more time on them. Once you do that, all you have to do is finalize and type them, and they will be worth 15% of the poetry bundle. As long as they're done and included in the bundle, you get the full 15 points. These are the ones that are the weakest, and you don't want to refine in any way. Once you've set those 3 aside, they're good, they're done, you don't have to deal with them anymore. Then you want to look at the other 4 and rank, after revising them fully, rank them from strongest to weakest. The strongest one, number 1, will be worth 30% of the overall bundle grade. Number 2 will be worth 25%. 3 and 4 will be worth 15% each. That's for a total, plus the 15% that are the 3 that aren't getting revised. Those are 100%. Few questions. What if I haven't done the rough draft? We've had about 5 or 6 weeks to write these, so that's kind of a you problem, not a me problem. With that said, my suggestion, you got 2 choices. You can take the zeros in the bundle, which then compound the zeros you've already taken with the rough drafts and work with what you have. Or you can write out the drafts now, take the late credit on the initial assignments, get them to me as soon as possible, and operate from behind. That is up to you. Different people are in different situations as it regards not writing the rough drafts. Some just haven't written maybe 1 poem. Others haven't written any poems. I leave it to you. How will the poetry be graded? If you are looking at the rubric, if you are looking at the assignment sheet on Canvas, skip forward to the rubric. I will note that the rubric does not have any weighted points. That's because different poems are graded different ways. For example, haiku, if it's got figurative language, it's not a good haiku. The vignette poems don't really have any requirements, so that area is largely irrelevant. Different areas are important for different poems. Therefore, I will use the rubric to grade each of your poems, but I will weight the criteria differently for each poem. So I'll use the rubric to grade, but the grade will be more holistic as opposed to strictly married to the rubric. In other words, I'll just take it for what's important in the rubric on that particular poem. What you need to know is that when you're trying to finalize the poems, be aware of that. Be aware of what the poem is and what it's trying to accomplish. Okay, a few things I do want you to be aware of as it regards the rubric. First of all, titles are graded. Let's consider a couple titles. Compare, fishing. Okay, I mean, it's what's going on in the poem, I assume. Then A Day at the Lake. That's better. Gives you a better idea. My Father's Last Fishing Trip. That's a poem I want to read. So, consider what your title says and where it directs the poem. Be aware that there are poets far better than you and me, who have titled their poems untitled. But I bet they had a reason for that. So consider that. Something else I want to note, in the rubric I mentioned wasted words or filler words. This means, does every word have a purpose? Do any words just take up space? You could say, my very bright and extremely clean green t-shirt. That's a boring sentence. But if you say, my t-shirt green and shining like a blackberry patch in a May morning, now the words mostly have value. In writing, but especially poetry, every single word has to matter, and you need to take that into consideration when you're writing. Other than that, most of the rubric goes over poetic elements we've gone over at some point over the last 6 weeks, so I will leave it to you to go over that stuff. Which brings us to the reflection. This helps me to see your process, because the process is just as important as the final product as far as I'm concerned. Writing's about process, and if you participate in the process, maybe that doesn't fully show in the final product, and I want to know that. So with that said, it helps me to see, when you do the reflection, it helps me to see the choices you made and had to go through to get to the final place you got to. I am less concerned that you are this mad, crazy, incredible poet than I am with you as a mad poet who has actively made decisions to do the best they could. And that's what I want you to explain to me in the rubric. In the reflection. Failure to turn in a reflection with the final bundle will result in an automatic loss of 10% of the bundle. That's 10 points. If you fail to meet my minimum requirements for the reflection, you lose 10%. If it is evident you're just going through the motions, you'll lose 10%. I'll explain that in a second. The reflection is overall, so you can just reflect on the overall bundle or just an individual poem. It's up to you. It wouldn't count against you anyway, no matter what you choose. Each topic, those are the black bullets, requires at least 4 sentences. If you just answer all the sub-bullets, you'll easily make the minimum of 4 sentences for each topic. Now, what I mean by just going through the motions, if you, for example, just are trying to get an obvious 4 sentences. I concentrated on word choice. I got rid of a word. I did this. I did that, period. You're going through the motions. You're not getting the points. So, don't just go through the motions. I'm not grading writing skill in any way. As long as I can understand it, I'm good. I don't care if you can't spell. You should also be as honest as possible. This gives me an insight into your thinking. I will never penalize you for honesty. How will the final bundle be turned in? It will be turned in on Canvas in one doc, or whatever your favorite word processing application is. You can format it if you'd like. That will not be a part of the grade in this case. The first page will have your name, my name, and the class period in the upper right-hand corner. The reflection will then be the first thing I see after that. After that, it will just be each poem in the order of grade weight. Therefore, the most heavily weighted will be first, followed by number 2, etc. Before each poem, I would like you to put number 1, number 2, number 3, right before the title. So therefore, in short, it's going to look something like this. Poem number 1, then you have the poem title, This Is Just to Say, and then you have the poem. This, by the way, is a part of a poem by one of my favorite poems by William Carlos Williams, who would have probably gotten an A. Oh, let's just say he would have gotten an A. All right, so basically, this is what it looks like. Page 1, go right through it. Just so you're aware, when is this due? This is officially due next week. It's the end of the week as long as we're still doing virtual learning, and I have a feeling where I'm not going to see you at best until early May, at best. But with that said, as long as we're still doing virtual learning, it won't be due at the end of the week. But my expectation is you would have been working on it all week. Therefore, we are going to start the short story unit next week as well. So it's in your best interest to have this as done as possible at the end of this week. All right, so getting feedback. Aside from the completion grade for the actual draft assignment, you probably want my feedback before you finalize everything. Some people have gotten 3 drafts to me of different poems. Some people have gotten 2. Some have gotten none. I would suggest you get me, by the end of this week, you need 4. So therefore, if you have 3, you need 1 more. If you have 2, you need 2. If you have 1, you need 3. And if you have 0, you need 4. Any draft that has been shared with me has been commented on. If any of those people have any questions or would like to work directly through, though virtually, with me, just let me know. I am 100% available. Any draft that hasn't been shared with me hasn't been commented on. See how that works? Therefore, you should all officially share the drafts of 4 poems by the end of this week. But even though they're not due until the end of the week, I suggest you get them to me earlier so I can get comments to you earlier and you can have more time to revise. And that's basically it. Due at the end of this week. First of all, you want to make sure to go to Canvas, go to the virtual learning module, and go to week 2 lessons plans. And by the end of this week, you should have at least 4 drafts shared with me on Google, which I will comment on, and you will get my comments. If you have any questions, feel free to email me either through Canvas or directly through my email. I promise you I will get back to you immediately. And if and when you get your drafts to me, I will get comments back on those. Otherwise, have a safe and productive week and stay away from everyone else. They're all trouble. Goodbye.